Okay. Hi, Brent. So subsequent to the email that you had sent, I've done one part of it, which was about the commercials. I think you had certain queries on the commercials, which uh, I tried my level best to have resolved in that email that I sent you on Wednesday. Just in case there's anything else, please do bring it to me, and I should be able to help you out with this. This current presentation right now, I'm recording this because some of those things are very difficult to actually put it in writing or make an explanation through a PowerPoint. So your query on how the app works is something that I'm actually going to demonstrate to you right now. And before that, I just wanted to bring in front of you a presentation that the team has finalized. So what essentially this presentation should do is to give you an insight of how do we plan to integrate the Viva app into a current console that we actually have. So Cloint essentially has features on development of task and assignment of tasks, tickets, request, forms, announcement, and my drive. Now, what essentially that should actually happen from a UI perspective is that your home screen on Viva Tracker will now will actually have an additional uh, six more sections in it, apart from the one that are already there. The POS transactions will only align to the Sprint and the T-Mobile POS, so that is not a major issue. But anyone who wants to access their tickets, task, request forms, announcement, and their drive from the app can essentially go through these segments, which are there on these icons, which will be there placed uh, on the Viva Tracker website of the customer. So here's an app, right? So this is how the app's going to look like. It's going to have a Viva POS. Now you can actually go to just a sale on the Viva POS. You can research a sale. You can search a sale by actually scanning a device number, a device barcode or a SIM barcode. Or you can put a band, PTN, and can actually also do this by a date filter. You should be able to find a transaction, then able to edit or delete that transaction, which is absolutely insane in line with the process flow that's there on the Viva tracker. And based on the flow, we can also enable alerts, on if there's a sprint transaction that at that time, whether you had done your MBA, and if it's an upgrade or any other transaction from Sprint side, whether the TNX was done or not, T-Vision, whether that was promoted or not, or if it's a corporate account, then whether the corporate validation was done or not at the time of the POS. It comes as an alert, as a second reminder to a rep that these are supposed to be done. These have a direct impact on the commissions of a dealer. So this is something as a good practice that we should be able to enable both on the Viva Tracker app POS on the portal as well as on the app. You'll have another section which is there, and I showed you for iMobile, where you can actually go and get your hourly sales numbers as alerts. So these will come as notification on the app. You will get once in a day, a month to date, daily target based achievement. And then whosoever actually has a daily schedule, just an hour before the schedule, they will actually get an alert that within an hour they actually have a schedule, or 15 minutes before the break, and 15 minutes before the clock out, that they should get an alert based on the schedule that has been put up on the Viva tracker. Rest all things are the same as what I've shown you. My promo will change into my drive, right? So that's another piece of it. So how do we propose to do it? We didn't have enough time at the moment right now, be very honest, because you know of my travel program. I have sat with the team and tried to do it on the PPT rather than going through Figma. Once we finalize our business relationship going forward, we should enable this in Figma and then present it to you. So what we essentially saying is you go onto your application, Viva app, there will be a Viva POS icon. Click on this Viva POS icon. The moment you click on the Viva POS icon, this actually gives you a whole list of transactions, which is for the day that you've done. You can actually click on the number on the top by date filter. And just in case you know whether it's not the date filter, you want the full list of week to date or month to date, you should be able to get it. If there's anything specific beyond that limit, you should actually go through the date filter. And then comes a search column, which essentially can actually open a barcode where you can actually scan a barcode through the device, which can take you to the respective transaction. Or you can also barcode an accessory to find out what transaction was. It takes you directly to that very invoice or the sales list. Uh, you can also search it by putting up a band number or a PTN number to which that invoice is related to for that invoice to actually go relate. Once the invoice is related, you can actually see the invoice and the transaction. Just in case you want to delete or edit, there will be icon in front of every transaction that you can click on to edit or delete the transaction. Based on everything else, right? Whatever list that you gets populated in front of you on the screen, you will be able to see your total GP number. So if I click on MTD, I will have all my MTD sales listed in front of me with the GP number on the top. Now, how do I click a new sale? All that I have to do is on the bottom right, I'm going to click on this uh, addition sign over there, and once I click on it, it just opens up a form, right? And the form will essentially will have a progress bar on the top. The first question that it's going to ask is, what carrier is it? Is it a Sprint transaction or a T-Mobile transaction? If we're based on whatever that we've done, it just takes me to the next level. And the next level ask me a question whether it's an individual or a corporate. The transaction date of the transaction will be default by today. Just in case you want to change it, you can actually click on the calendar and change it. On the top, the progress bar keeps on moving. It has to be 100%. It just guides the user at what level of transaction he has it, and then eventually the sales process uh, for the sales flow, which is there in Viva Tracker, it starts following up from there on. So it just goes into that very logical order and completes the transaction. The data gets ingested into your current database, right? So that's a kind of a technical workout that your team and my team will have to do. It's technically possible. We've done this before, so I really don't see any reason why it should delay a process of our launch if decided to go forward. Uh, in the task module, what is it that T-Mobile dealers are using at the moment right now effectively and making good use of it? Is a daily opening checklist and a closing opening checklist. This can all be scheduled, and this can be scheduled by the time zone and the records on its own, right? So it's not that we have to do this every day. It's like just fit for once, just launch it and sit back, and you guys keep on seeing your compliances on opening checklist, closing checklist. You can make this closing and opening checklist according to the dealer's requirement. In fact, the dealer's team themselves can create these forms and can do it. It's not that they have to be dependent upon us, and it's not these checklists are static. These checklists are very flexible and can adjust itself at any point of time the way the user wants by the user himself. We have a daily cash deposit, which is a day end process. If was something of a process that I showed you, I should be able to give you a couple of videos, and I think that should be good enough for you to review this once again of how these processes are. Very, very effective. I've also shown you a couple of results that we've secured with some of these processes on one of the dealers, and which is so commendable. We've been told that T-Mobile will soon be releasing and publishing a new operation ranking. And if that was to come on cash compliances, this particular dealer should actually be standing at the second rank. It's now currently being evaluated by one of our existing customers, And seems like looking at the results, 1st of March is where it should actually go into application. So we have a weekly cash pickup, which is where we go and ask for a confirmation whether the pickup was done or not. Based on this, we interact with T-Mobile if the cash pickup hasn't happened. Sometimes it does happen. The task is only about getting the cash logbook images and auditing that whether the signatures has been done by the cash pickup company and the numbers which are there are complete, so that at any point of time there's no discrepancy and it's well taken care of. The weekly inventory return process, it's all give backs and buyback that needs to get processed. It's a very, very comprehensive exercise. I'm going to share you a video the same way that we do your cash process is the way that we also do our current inventory return process, which helps us to evaluate whether the transactions being done rightly, the phones are not broken, the ID is being taken off, because that's where the dealers are losing the most of the money. And they have we can make a huge impact for every single dealer on this process through this application task application module. Inventory count sheet, that's another module, right? This is where it happens as per the T-Mobile schedule, where everyone needs to do their count sheet. And I'm going to give you a demonstration of that as well on the app after, in this video. IB contract, again, it's a very, very big problem. Some of times the IB contracts falls out, and and the dealer gets charged back for the full amount. So they're not probably going to make more than $300 on a commission in a best case scenario, but they actually have a risk of $1,100 device being lost because the contract actually just fell off and no one looked at it. And it can only be found at the time of inventory count sheet. So we have a process in place that helps counters that, knows where it is, where that device is, and what's an action that a store has taken in order to make that device contract come good. Monthly expense file. This is where the nightmare happens for a lot of the dealers, and this is the process. I think one of our dealers, because of our guidance and consulting, has been able to make a remarkable difference. Uh, we evaluate the monthly expenses. There are a lot of monthly expenses that need to get investigated or they need to actually get uh, verified. And once those investigation and verifications are done, there's a certain information that is required back to make appeals. Just to give you a sense that we've been able to get 70% of the appeals getting approved wherever it's made. But the idea is not winning over the appeals. The idea is to make sure that the number of transactions coming onto the expense file drops drastically. The daily employee COVID declaration, and this goes to every single employee automatically who's scheduled for the day. And once on their schedule, they're going to get this form every single day where they have to fill up their COVID declaration. That we need to understand that no one's forced them to work. They're absolutely healthy. They never came in contact with anyone who's affected by COVID, and the current temperature that they've taken at the moment right now in the store at the time of filling up the form. So that's the uh, basic declaration that we need, and that gets COVID compliance into place. The health inspector comes in, they can actually show some of these forms, and health inspectors, we've got compliments from the health inspectors in a couple of store visits who've really appreciated the way that records been uh, kept in a digital order. Forms. Uh, these are forms which are embedded. You can make these forms and assign it to a designation. All these designation can use this form anytime they want. Demo theft. It does happen. Subprime area very, very high. Demo thefts happen. But who keeps a record of whether these transactions actually have been reported to T-Mobile or not? And all these things are very important. If they've been reported, what is that incident number? So this forms today that we use for one of the dealers records the incident number. Sprint extra device returns. So sometimes what happens is the devices may not show on the reports, or it may not even show on the tapestry, or whatever uh, POS records that they're using, but Sometimes there's an extra device and it only happens in sprint. Unfortunately, that's a very confusing word. But to report these extra devices for returns, you can actually make a form, and on this form, they should be able to fill in what extra devices they got by scanning up the devices, and we should get that. Store visit form, every district manager, regional director, or anyone, even an auditor, the dealer's own in-house auditor visiting the store we can create a form. They can customize this form to their requirements, to their flow, and these forms essentially need to be filled up on every single visit by these people, by the designations, and it keeps a good record of what really transpired at the time when they made the visit. Customer incident form, you can make this. Customer fell or there was some escalation with the customer, you can make an incident form, and everyone knows, and it's there in the records. You might require this for insurance purposes. You might also require this to actually show it to T-Mobile at any point of time. So this becomes a very handy register at the back end to know what really transpired as an event, so that tomorrow, or let's say in a year after, if something really comes up, we should be able to keep that register and go back to the event and produce the documentation or the information required. Employee transfers, very common thing. Fill up the form, goes to the right people make their action and close that action. Employee offboarding and termination, again, is the same thing. We've also enabled robotic processes to this, which can actually do a complete offboarding on an employee without anyone coming and touching the process. New store opening and closures happens rarely, but it's a norm of the day. You really don't know how 2021 is all about. So if new stores are opening or certain stores are getting closed, we have the form embedded on it. Anyone who's going into the store to do the action should be able to access that form, fill up the form, and everyone should get the information on how that transpired to be. Tickets, fantastic module. I can bet my life on this. I can beat Zendesk anytime on this kind of a matrix. And you can actually create n number of categories, no cost escalation, there's no extra cost for it. You can create under every category a subcategory under any department. One of the best thing is you can custom make your own statuses, and those statuses can be used all throughout the organization. One of the best thing that it actually has is everyone can actually see their team tickets. So if I'm a district manager, I can see my store's tickets and I know where they stand, and I can actually come and intervene at any point of time when I see there's a delay in in resolving a ticket. And I know which agent, just in case I want to talk to an agent, I can click on the void call message, something that I showed you, and you can do that interaction. So that's another slide. So, this is one that we use for one of the dealers. And I think the dealer has been quite innovative enough and quite detailed oriented that he has parent categories and subcategories going all the way to a count of 72. This helps them build them good analytics because they've made a ticket module for every single kind of an event operationally, or even sales, or in terms of app support or legal for that matter of fact. So anyone who's scattered all throughout the United States, if the head office really wants to see how many sanitation tickets came, how many court summons came, they can actually make it in a ticket module, and a ticket module can take care of it, and it goes to a right person with right documentation, which is fantastic because in tickets, you can actually put in multimedia, videos, photographs, images, PDF files, scan documents, Excel, anything can be added to the ticket module and taken forward. Request is another process that we have, which is T-Mobile activation fee waiver. Very important. A lot of dealers lose this money, and they really don't know who approved of it and what's happening, where's an accountability coming on. It only comes to them when they look at the report in the Power BI and they realize this is the money being lost. They feel helpless and they don't have an approval process. I think majority of them don't have an approval process. They can actually make an approval process of their own through this by a custom template, which is which is very much possible in this application. Early time off, whether it's petty cash over budget or there's commission chargeback overrides, someone wants to approve that this commission chargeback should not be put to a dealer or to a mobile expert or to store manager, they can actually approve it, and there's a record for it that it has been approved by a superior and it should not be charged. I'm going to now take you through a demonstration of the application itself. And I think this will give you a good insight of what all I covered a few minutes back in terms of task tickets, request, and forms module on the app. So I'll go myself, take myself outside the PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to any which way send this PowerPoint presentation to you. Okay, 20 minutes. I won't take much time, say another 15 minutes. So we'll keep it a hard stop so that it's not a big presentation to consume. And with all due responsibility, this presentation is made on a dealer called Mobile City. I have an authorization from the principals of Mobile City to use this for demonstration purposes. So we go to the Mobile City's workspace. We just need to put the user ID and the password, so which is all in there. We should now be able to get into the task. So, if you see they've done 12,000 tasks have been performed by Mobile City on this platform. Uh, they are they are roughly around 1,000 tickets on the application that they can actually see. They can see the employee birthdays, whosoever is it. And just in case, I just wanted to go and show if I wanted to go call Sultan on his birthday, I can actually go call Sultan on his birthday. We will now be soon adding a text message option in um, every single contact. So we're going to be soon working on the video. So it will actually have a three-way communication method, whether you want to do a call, you want to text, or you want to do a video call for an employee, you should be able to do that. So let me just come to the ticket. Here's a ticket, and I go to the ticket list. Now, ticket list is where, as an admin, I can see, or anyone can actually go and see uh, their 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 task and their tickets that that are there. So just to see, this is an opening checklist. I think this is how some of the opening checklists do happen. We click on any of these opening checklists, for example, Knickerbocker. It just tells me, all these options are actually given on it, right? So it says when was the last time it closed. This is all being made by the dealer operations team themselves, right? And it records on its own, and it records all the 7 days of the week except for the holidays. A closing checklist. I think closing checklists are always the most comprehensive, and everyone performs that because that's something that's been tracked. It now gives me the picture of the end of the day paperwork. So you click on this, you should be able to see all your end of the day paperwork, right? You've closed the stack, CPNI, everything is done, and then everyone's clocked out, everything sanitized. So all these questions are there. Uh, you can custom make all these questions on your end, and just in case if you find something which is wrong, you can actually make a comment out here, and an email will go to, in this case, let's say the retail associate manager Pebbles will get an email taking a link to her, telling her what's been found wrong in that particular section. So it has a it has a reconciliation mechanism which is also built into the system. So that's covering the closing checklist. We have the cash, which is a daily cash deposit, right? This was something that I showed you, that we have a daily cash process that really happens, which has all the documents going in. It's getting covered. In fact, there is no variance and there is no deposit in this case. So everything comes out zero, that means there was no cash transaction. Let me just go find anything which actually has a cash transaction. Let's see. This will be. Mm, mm, this should- this has a cash transaction. Yeah, this has a cash transaction 184, 184, and then they're giving us this. We can validate it's 184.79. Yes, it's correct. You can actually go, that's a bag number 184, that's a store code, fantastic. Print, I need the slip. He hasn't deposited the slip, but the only thing that's telling me is how many hundreds, fifties I have. And then just in case there's a non-compliance, I don't see a uniform for him, but then the gentleman seems to be closing the stores.
1, 2, 3,
That's a video.
4, 5, 6,
I won't go much
7,
into it. You've seen
8,
it all. That's a bag. I see it's
920s, The total
M22431.
is 184 and 79 cents. I don't have a change, so I'm sending a couple of
I
cents over.
validate this.
That's DTS visible. The total is
Yes,
184 and
right.
79 cents, but we have instead
Just go and
185
verify
in the
this.
bag.
It's been signed
As
184.
I don't have change, but it's all good. Money is never a problem, guys, as you guys know.
Yeah, I know money is not a problem. At least in Mobile City, it's not a problem. And just in case they have, if they're deposit banks or bank deposit tickets, if they don't have enough and they want to order it, here's a process also that's given at the end of the thing, right? So they can actually go and click on the link and they can actually come to 4 point. Just that they have to put their user ID and password, go in and do the ordering. So it's a very comprehensive and an end-to-end process that has been built. It's self-guiding, and it's something, if something is there, they can actually take care of it from there. And it also has a login issue advisory. If there's something like an issue that you have with logging into that, please clear your browsing history and the cookies and etc. It should work. So these are all custom built, right? And everyone can do handle this easily. I want you to see one last process before I move on to something else because there's so much to be shown and I know I have time limit. Is as the T-Mobile return of devices, right? So how does a return of a device happens? Here's a return of a device, let's say for this store, and this has two devices to be returned. If you click on this device, it's now going to tell you the whole SOP that needs to get followed in order to process this device. And if you were to go and see, it's now telling us uh, how this needs to be done. And there's a video input. It's now giving us what area, what store is it, what device is it, what serial number is it, and total number of days is non-sellable is 2. I need, is it in the store? Yes. Is it in a good condition? Yes. Is it powering on? Show me it's powering on. Yes, it's powering on. And yes, this is the IMEI number. I can validate that. I want to see the back of it. Nothing's broken. It seems like a good device. Everything's good. I want to see this in a bubble wrap. The reason is a lot of people don't put this into a bubble wrap, and in transit, it breaks and it gets a full value charge back. So bubble wrap compliance is equally important, right? A lot of people say, no, it's a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. One small mistake, $200 gone. So same way you can actually go and see the other device that is there because there were two devices in it. Now, once you've processed the device, I want to see a full compliance. And the compliance is how many shipping boxes are going out. It's only one because there are two devices. It says I want to see the vendor receipt. Here's a vendor receipt I have. And I see the two devices in it. Fantastic. Matches. I want the video shipment of the box.
STO.
And see this. This is a compliance which is confirming that everything went into the box and the box was sealed. Nothing like it. That's my confirmation.
First device. IMEI. No damages. Device. Bubble wrap. One fold.
This might take 2 minutes extra for an employee, but it just saves a lot of money for an
IMEI.
organization.
No damages. Clean. Asian port. Turning off the device. Nice. Power it off. And bubble wrap.
So even powering off a device is
Both
very
devices are in
important
there.
because this can be a big security
PO
threat
paperwork.
when in logistics. So we want to be a responsible
Cover in
organization,
box. Box is ready to go.
right? And it's ready to go. It's been sealed and it's ready to go. So we have this compliance, and one of the best things that it actually has, because he actually scanned a number of the UPS tracking number, I'm able to now go and access what's actually the status of that very box. So this keeps on updating every 2 hours, and it tells me where that box is. So if I was to go and click on this, you see it gives me a tracking number. It says delivered doc. This was the last update. I click on this. Okay, so I do have a problem here. I don't know whether it's delayed or it's not opening, but what it's telling me is last update was on 02/11 at 5 Eastern EST, and this was delivered to the dock, right? So this should ID the click generally actually opens it onto the UPS website. I suppose there's an issue with the link that I'm going to work out. So one bug found. Going back to the task once again, you can actually go and get the task by what's pending, what's due today, what all is overdue. You can actually filter them by date, and you can also filter them by rating. So let's say, for example, I want to know uh, anything which is 1 star. That means something that's really terrible cannot go into it. You won't find in this because it needs to be no. Uh, there's a lot of ratings in it there, right? Now, what happens when someone gives you a rating? With the rating, if there are alerts, let's say, for example, this one actually has an alert in it. This one also has an alert. The alert gives you an impression to an admin or anyone on the top to go and see there's something wrong in this transaction, right? This is the last piece that I wanted to bring in front of you. So anything which is blinking is now asking a superior's attention. I need to go in. Once I go into the task, I will have to go through the entire piece myself and see what exactly is is asking for my attention, right? So here's something that requires my attention. So you see there's a blink that's actually happening over here. I click on this blink, and the task does not matches the cash out amount. So it says, okay, what's the cash out amount? It says 100 here, and yeah, and I see 182 here. So there is something that's wrong that's happened. And once this warehouse manager has actually made a comment, this gentleman would have got uh, an alert to go and look into that. And that's perhaps one of the reason why that particular transaction actually has been marked as 1 star. That means this transaction has been done wrong. We've identified that. There's another transaction which has been verified as wrong, right? So all that you really need to do is to go and get into the app and see for the blink, which is this one. And if I go click on this, it says incorrect cash out picture because what we was needed here was this transaction. What we got here was this particular piece, though it serves a purpose, but it's actually not the right way to do it. So he's penalized it. And the way that he's penalized is by giving them, I'm sorry, by giving them 3 stars. Um, so let's say by giving them a 3 stars. And based on these stars, we actually give a rating, and the reward and recognition mechanism actually works based on these stars. So this is what completes the task. Same way we have tickets, small dashboard, nothing really much. It's just telling you how those things are coming. It gives you a list of tickets. You can actually go see the tickets by any single, you know, status. You can also find it by location. You can find it by the category. You can make an auto refresh. That means any status update on real-time basis will keep on refreshing itself. It just tells you when was this all responded. And then people also keep on rating the agents back depending upon how they handle. The entire configuration mechanism is inbuilt, right? So there's a mass reassignment if the agent changes. Basic setups there. You can actually make your status, priorities, agents, observers, categories, and subcategories anytime by going to some of these links. I know I don't have much of the time, so I'm want to pass this, and I can take this up at some point of time. And then with request, I think you can actually go and see the request list. You know what's pending, what's approved, what's escalated. You can see a lot of people actually making a leave and day call off for vacation for 2 weeks. They can be pending, approved, and hold and declined, whatever that status can actually be. That's where it's actually used the most. And then you can create templates on your own, right? So we can actually have templates made by clicking on this. Click on this. You all that you need to do is to go through the process, make the forms visibility, and then add additional email. And you can do this. Forms, you can do the forms as well, and then create forms if you really need to add a form. All that it requires is to just go through this step. Once you've enabled these steps, you can create a form on your own. Yeah, it just requires me to fill this up. I'm not going to fill this up. I'm going to, in fact, take another route and show you what I'm trying to say. So, what the next step will be is the next is that you can actually go and create a form of your own, right? So, these UIs are something that you can make on your own, right? This is something that you can delete, you can duplicate, edit, and you can select any kind of a basic thing that you require, whether it's going to be a date picker, Google Map, color picker, radio button, checkbox, select, video, image, blah, 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 and even layout. And we are now working shipment tracking, geostamping, arithmetic expression is like getting the data calculated on its own. If there's some calculation that needs to be done based on inputs, it can automatically do its calculation and throw the results out. So, and we're working very extensively right now to make these options more powerful. One of the things that we're working right now that we worked was the barcode scanner. And then along with the barcode scanner, what we've really just gone ahead and done right now is to also start working on document scanner. Through your app, you should be able to scan every document. So it will not come as an image, it will come as a scan and get registered. You're going to use optical character recognition, which is also about reading a document, pulling the data out of the document, and automatically filling it. That's an AI methodology, work in progress. Soon you should be able to see the results out. So that's going to be very, very interesting. And then apart from that, this organization, this entire piece is getting into a full revamp. And this is all getting very much structured. The new UX UI that's been invested into is going to actually make it far much more comprehensive. So any user to be added, you can actually go and add a user, uh, deactivate a user. You can actually go and see that they are actually on the web or not. So let's say, for example, whether they're active, inactive. I just wanted to go and see whether they're active, inactive. So a lot of these employees, you should be able to go and find all their data in. And same way you do a location master, that's how the location master goes in. You can export the location master, import the location master, add a new location, or can delete the location at any point of time. 0 day activations, I think these are all where the data goes into populate the hourly text messages and everything. Call history, you should be able to see what all calls are made and how those interactions happen. Just in case you want to see there was a call between Sile and Dennis that happened. You click on the video audio. You can nobody
Hey
I can
Dennis.
I can actually go and listen to that audio, what transpired
Dennis, are you in Nico Walker?
on that very call,
Yeah.
right? So all these things are there embedded into this. Another thing is how do you make a task? I say add a task. Now it says it's an Excel task or an ad hoc task. Now ad hoc task means you don't need to do anything. You just need to pull up the form, add a form, and assign it to any person that you're looking to assign to, or even a user group for that matter of fact. So let's say, mm, first employees are there. So there's one user group by the first employee. I'm not sure how many user group Mobile City is made, but designations, of course, it's something that needs to be done to the district manager, director of sales, operations. So you can also assign a task based on designation. You can also do it to individuals. User group is generally supposed to be a block of stores that you need to do. I think they haven't set that up, and that's something that needs to be done. There's a whole recurrence model to it. You can actually do a recurrence at any point of time, and then just click on this, generate a task. Why do you need an Excel import? Excel import is when a lot of your tasks, like give back, buybacks, are about multiple transactions, right? On a door. So, let's say, for example, a store A will have 10 transactions to do. You're not going to make a task 10 tasks for a store. You're going to make one task for the store, and you're going to all that you're going to do is to ingest the entire mobile city file, and it will be able to bifurcate itself by the store, and you assign it to the store manager or any of the rep for that store, and it will assign it to their app, and they should go onto their app, and all that they have to do is to do this do this on their app and complete the task. So this is primarily the whole presentation that I wanted to show to you. This is how the app works at the back end, and the front end is pretty much intuitive. And I can set up an account for you and assign a couple of tasks to you. You can go try it for yourself, and I think that will give you a better idea of how effectively this application works. Um, so I look forward to this. I'm going to now stop the session. 42 minutes. I think it's quite a big session. Thank you so very much for your time. 15 minutes over, but I hope I have answered you how the things really work at the back end. Uh, Front end, I think you should explore it yourself, and I can give you credentials for you and start assigning. Tell my team to assign few tasks and something to you, so that you can actually have a good sense of what things are all about. Right? Thank you so very much. Thanks.